Before we get started, we'd like to take a moment of silence for all those lost in the line of duty.
Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Big Blue Stogie Review, coming to you live from the Tactical Financial Studios here in beautiful Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tony.
I'm Dominic.
And guest hosting today, we got
Mike Campy.
Mike Campy. Everybody's in the house. How's everybody doing today?
Amazing.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. We got exciting news for Papa Dom here. It's going to be a Papa Dom, Grandpa.
Yep, going to be a
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're waiting on the. If you see Dom get up and jump out the window today, it's because he's got a little Bambino coming. So it is what it is, but that's very, very important. But we're going to sit here, smoke a cigar, and have a drink to the new grandchild that's coming in.
God bless.
Thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
We don't know a name yet, do we?
We do. Aurora.
Aurora.
Just like
Beautiful.
the Aurora Borealis. Aurora.
Absolutely beautiful.
Amazing.
Yes, absolutely beautiful. So, guys, welcome to the first show here for the Big Blue Stogie Review. We're just going to sit back, relax, talk about cigars, loose conversation. We got Mike. We gave him espresso, so we're going to see what happens today.
There's nothing good. There's nothing good that can come of that.
About me giving Mike espresso, but it's a cigar show. So
And it was delicious. It's done already. I put that shit down like you want to read about. It's amazing.
We need bigger cups.
No, you're not supposed to have bigger cups of espresso, bro. That's
Doubles.
the whole point.
We're supposed to have a double. What's a doppio?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, pint glasses were made for a reason. Fight me.
For bourbon.
Thank you very much.
A coffee cup is for espresso.
It's not just for breakfast anymore.
All right. So today we got a special guest in the house. We got Alexander Martinez from Exile Cigar. Everybody came in here. Alex,
How are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be the first guest
Absolutely.
on the first show.
Exciting to have you here, Alex.
So
Thank
one of the things that we want to promote here at the Big Blue Stogie Review is businesses and business owners who are first responder veteran throughout our community of cigars, right? So we couldn't think anybody better right now than you, Alex, to come on here for the first show, especially with your brand new release coming out very soon.
So I'm the first guest on the first show, and you guys are the first ones that are going to be smoking this here. It's a pre-release of our newest line, Alaska, that's coming out. It'll be out in a couple of weeks. Packaging was delayed, as is always the case with cigars nowadays, and it'll be coming out hopefully mid to late May. I'm expecting them here. I'll cross my fingers and knock on wood. They're shipping out from the DR on the 2nd of May, so hopefully in about a week later I'll have them ready to go.
Outstanding.
Looks like we have a little teaser video.
Yeah, we had a little.
Yeah, a little teaser showing.
Oh, look at the booth. Hold on a second here. Here we go. There we go.
There we go.
I got it.
Yeah, we don't want to play too much of that.
A little teaser.
I mean, Mike started dancing, and it was almost like the La 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 video.
That was it. I got caught up in the
See
moment.
espresso.
Don't fight the moonlight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alex, Alaska, right? Why don't you tell us about what it is?
So,
makeup.
Alaska is a Habano H2000 wrapper with a Ecuadorian Sumatra binder and Dominican fillers. It's a pretty much medium body, something that you can smoke any time of the day, and any cigar smoker can approach the cigar. It's not too strong, it's not too light, but what I love about it is it's very, very full flavor. To me, it's got the nuttiness and creaminess with just a hint of white pepper that really makes it tasty, and it transitions throughout the cigar. It makes it kind of exciting. You don't get bored with it. And this is the limited edition. There's only 10,000 of these that were made. It's a one and done deal. It's a Corona with a pigtail, kind of along the same line as the La Dalia, which was our first line. Our 2023 limited was a little bit shorter Corona with the pigtail on it, and that was a Mexican San Andres wrapper. So we have 3 cigar lines now in our portfolio. We have La Dalia, which is Mexican San Andres, with an Indonesian Sumatra binder, medium full. And from that point, we went to the opposite end of the spectrum with the Versalles, which is a Connecticut, Ecuadorian Connecticut, again, Indonesian Sumatra binder, Dominican fillers. But it's not a typical Connecticut where people think, oh, it's going to be light and bland. It's actually got some strength to it and a lot of flavor. So it's not, to use the phrase that's been coined a lot, not your grandfather's Connecticut. Not going to bore you. It's not going to, lull you to sleep. You'll be in there with it. It's really good. And then we kind of rounded it off with this, which is, again, very approachable to all smokers because of the flavor. The full flavor on it is so good. Even if you like a full-bodied cigar, it's not going to be full-bodied, but the flavor on it is just going to wow you.
And so far, good with the espresso. Definitely.
It pairs great with espresso, and it'll hold up to some bourbon.
Yeah, with bourbon too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be next. So how did we get here? Where did you come from? What have you done? And then how did we get to cigars?
All right, pull up the couch and the pillow and put you to sleep now. So I did 25 years with the Newark Police Department. I retired as a captain. And, I figured, well, why not? I've been a cigar fan my whole life. So I started working at a cigar shop. And then that became, I want to get my own cigar brand. And so my son and I ventured forth and started doing little small batch releases. And it was kind of like a hodgepodge. Through my years in the industry and my connections, I was able to get some small batch releases from different factories that we kind of branded in our own special way. We started off with the toe dip back in the COVID days when we had the little guy with the rubber ducky. That was our guy dipping his toe in a pond.
Do you
with
remember
a
you
shark
running around with a rubber ducky for a little while there?
I did. I did that. Yes, indeed. Blowing it up, man. I think I almost had 2 strokes blowing up that damn rubber ducky. But it was it was just branding, something different. And then we went from that to the chunky dunk, because I'm not exactly a thin guy. And then we of course had to go with the skinny dip, because if you ever spoken with anybody who Spanish was their first language, any word in English that begins with the letter S, we automatically put an E in front. Estupid, está, skinny dip, which was a Lancero. And I still get people today, hey, you have any more skinny dips? And we had, I think it was maybe like 300-400 packs that went fast, and they're one and dones, unfortunately. And that was all these small batch releases were kind of like to build the kitty, because I'm a retired cop. I'm not rich. So, where am I going to get all the money for this cigar brand that we're going to start off with? So we started there, all the while planning on getting a core line release, which was La Dalia, the name of my dad's first shoe store in Santiago de Cuba. So that was the start, and that's the naming. Anything to do with Exile pays homage to my family history. So Exile Cigars, because my parents came in exile to the United States in 1969. My dad was in the shoe business. They had 3 shoe stores. The first one, La Dalia, the second one, Versalles, which was our second release, and the third one, Alaska. So we've got all the shoe stores named in cigars now. Don't ask me where the name Alaska for a shoe store came about, but I wish my dad was still alive so I could ask him what the hell he was thinking. But I didn't make the history. I'm just paying homage to it. So we have the 3 lines now, and we're moving forward.
So tonight you got a cut and light going on. Where's your cut and light?
Yeah, we're doing a cut and light down in East Brunswick at the Smoking Gnome. It's a cigar shop formerly known as Don Francisco's on Route 18 in East Brunswick. So we'll be there. My son AJ is actually setting up because that starts at 6, and then I'll follow up afterwards. You know, the normal Hispanic time. I'll be a little late, but that's okay. I'll be there. And you know, we'll be smoking some more cigars and enjoying the camaraderie we do in the cigar world.
Absolutely. You got any good questions for?
So I have a question for you, Alex. When you're blending a cigar, it's hard to get away from what you like as a flavor profile of a cigar. So how do you step away from that, come up with a profile that you know that is going to be popular in the industry, as opposed to something that you know you would love to smoke every day? Because if we're going to make our own cigars, we know what we're going to put in it. We know if I like a spicy, or if I mean, I love a Habano wrapper. I love the nuttiness. I love the natural oily, you know, texture and color.
This wrapper is almost like leather.
It's beautiful, and
Yeah.
that's my favorite wrapper. The Habano is my favorite. So how do you know to put something together that's?
So the first thing you do is not step away, because there has to be something that's going to tie you into that cigar. Plus, if you don't sell any of them, you have to smoke them somewhere. So you get to smoke them. So you got to make something you're going to like.
Right.
Now, it might not necessarily. So let me step back a second. If you would have told me your first cigar is going to be made in the Dominican Republic, 4 years ago, I would have laughed, because I was a Nicaraguan guy.
Right.
I loved, the cigars that were coming out of Nicaragua, the Esteli, Ligero, that, kind of like really punches you in the face, strong black pepper.
Black pepper, right on.
And then, I met Caesar many years ago, and he was making Dominican cigars, and I liked them. When I found out he had started a factory, I sat down with him. I said, "Listen, I heard you started a factory," and he's like, "Yeah." He says, "We're not making cigars for anybody yet." I said, "Well, you're going to make cigars for me. I'm going to be your first customer." And he knew my flavor profile. And the first thing that I'll say is, a lot of people in this industry throw around the term master blender, like it was something easy. I'm not a master blender by any means. I am a master smoker, though. And Caesar, knowing my flavor profile, developed several blends that we smoked of La Dalia, which I've had people in the industry smoke it and say, if you didn't tell me this was Dominican, I would have swore it was Nicaraguan. The Dominican tobacco can be just as strong as Nicaraguan. It all goes into the blending and what you put in it. The majority of Dominican cigar blenders don't concentrate on full-bodied cigars.
Right.
With the exception of a few, most notably La Flor Dominicana, with their double Ligero and their diggers and all the different cigars that they make that are really strong. Most of them concentrate on medium to light. And I've grown to like a medium cigar more than a full-bodied cigar, with the caveat that it has to be full flavor. You need to get, that burst in your mouth, kind of like, the effervescence, like when you take a
Calm
drink,
down, Campy.
it just
Calm down,
The
Campy.
espresso's kicking in.
it just, boom, it explodes in your mouth. And so you were asking, how do you pull away? Well, listen, I like a Neanderthal, but not a lot of people do. What I found with La Dalia being a dark wrapper, when we would do events, you'd get people that come into a shop and they looked at the dark wrapper and they were scared. They're like,
Intimidated.
"Oh, yeah,
right
no,
off the bat, they're intimidated.
I don't smoke."
Yeah, they think it's
And
going to knock them off their feet.
Same thing with the Connecticut. On the reverse side, I get guys that come in, "Nah, I don't smoke Connecticut," and I love it when I get that, because then I tell them, "Okay, good, you're gonna smoke this one.
Yeah.
Try it. Tell me." And I've had people smoke an inch of it and come back and go, this isn't a Connecticut. I go, yeah, it is. It's just blended different. It's made to
I've been that
reflect.
guy years ago. Like I'm like, it's too light, it's too light, it's too light. And then there's a bunch of Connecticut's now that are out there that are definitely
I mean,
a lot more
I have
flavorful
had
than
some people tell me that the Versailles, in their opinion, is stronger than the La Dalia. And I think that's because the La Dalia has that sweetness that comes out of the San Andres wrapper, and it kind of, changes it. Whereas the Versailles is more on the citrusy, nutty white pepper profile.
Yeah, you got a question from Megan Pennington. She said, "Can you tell me about the blends and what cigar would be good for me as a woman?"
Any cigar for a woman. Again, just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you need to smoke flavored cigars or light cigars. It's all according to a person's palate. If you're the type of person that likes spicy food, Creole, hot wings, your palate is geared towards a fuller bodied cigar. That's what your palate likes. So scientifically speaking, women have more taste buds than men. If you look at the liquor industry, the majority of women lean towards clear liquors, like vodka, rum, as opposed to men who like the darker liquors, the bourbons, the whiskeys. The reason is we can't taste it as easily.
Can't be like Zima.
Yeah, thank you.
With
We
Skittles.
can't taste it.
Clear malt
as
liquor.
easy. Coke 45, baby. Night train. Let's have a party. So you can't taste it as much. So you need more of it. That's why you see a lot of guys that they'll gravitate towards, I want full body. That's because scientifically speaking, they can't taste. And there's all kinds of stuff which, relates to your tasting and what you're going to lean towards. So for a woman, it's what you're comfortable with. I would tell you, start off with the Versailles and then don't be scared and try the La Dalia and end up with the Alaska.
I mean, I would say you have to try if you're smoking cigars, you got to try everything once, right? Because there's going to be things you like and things you don't like. And the only way to figure out what you like is to try different things.
Mm-hmm.
What I always say is to someone is don't buy a box, right? Never buy a box of something because somebody told you to go try it.
Unless you're at one of my events.
Well, that's
Yeah,
one of the events.
right.
'Cause then
But
you're
no,
going to love it. You're going to
Event
be
special.
guaranteed to love it.
But you should try it first, and then oh man, I really like that. I'm going to go buy a box.
Right.
You never just buy a box because somebody told you. We all seen those people. They'll come in there. Oh, my buddy told me to buy a box, and then they come back like, I really like those. Well, what do you like? It's like, well, I smoked this one. Why'd you buy that? Let's try this.
I always say a good measuring stick for people with cigars too is how they like their coffee. If you're a person that likes dark coffee, strong coffee, espressos, you're going to have a palate that's going to be more acceptable of a heavy, full-bodied cigar, full-flavored, full-bodied.
Yeah.
If you're a person that likes a sweet coffee, a lot of sugar, a lot of cream, you're going to want that creamier wrapper, milder, but also a little bit full-flavored. So that's going to complement what their flavor profile is.
I'm so glad you said this. I'm a novice. I love. First of all, this is delicious. This is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. I'm glad
When
you
I
love it.
go into a cigar shop, I'm overwhelmed. One, I have stage 5 ADHD, but two, I just see. God love espresso.
I'm sorry, you were saying?
Coney, the espresso is delicious. Did I
And
mention
you
stage
gave
5
him espresso.
ADHD?
So
Where was that? We're talking about soda, right?
I've been talking too much.
So- So just for those viewers that have not seen the Mike Campy show, that's like his theme song from some Uzbekistan
Yeah,
comedian or something.
Uzbekistan. Yeah.
Or Rumson.
Yeah.
I mean,
My
meanwhile-
sister, number 2 prostitute in all of
Irvington. We revenue share with them.
Yes. Meanwhile, every time we play that song, we have to pay 0.23 cents a
Yeah.
minute of airtime because we get modernized.
Someone's
I just
buying a
got
real
the
nice
email.
Yugo in the next couple months
Well,
because of us playing that
I
song.
just got the email from the contact to send our money to them. So we're good. We'll pay up those
We'll pay-
royalties.
yeah. I think Mo just sent them $20 just to cover us for the next few months. But I'm not
Yeah, we're good.
So when I go into a cigar store, I'm a little overwhelmed. What you just said is really great because I never know how to ask for what it is I want. And whenever you go into a cigar store, someone wants to come give you a hand. Be like, great. I don't know how to ask for what I want. I look around, and one good point is I do look for a lighter wrapper. I like this reference of the Connecticut, explaining what that is a little bit, because I guess I'm kind of intimidated by a really dark wrapper. I assume that's going to put me on my ass and do what happened to me once in the Dominican Republic, which is a whole nother funny story about cigars. But how do I explain? Look, I'm looking for something. I don't want to. I hate saying the word light and mild. I think that. I don't think that.
Well, that could mean anything. Yeah, I
Well,
get what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
But there's
this,
nothing wrong with saying you want something a little bit more mild with a little bit of flavor, but on the milder side.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with the person in the retail industry saying to you, what do you like? How do you like to drink your whiskey? How do you like to drink your coffee?
And when you said that, that made so much sense, especially the coffee and whiskey part. And what you mentioned about women having stronger taste buds, it makes so much sense. Bourbon for me does the trick. When I taste tequila, I don't taste it. No matter what I'm mixing it with, all right, great, that's good. I taste more juice than anything.
When I have tequila, I want to fight.
Well, like an Indian on fire would, right?
Yes.
I don't even know if we can say that anymore. But yeah, no, I time travel. It is, but
This will be the perfect moment to play.
that is. But this is delicious. Like, once these are available, I can't wait to get these. If I'm going to go out to say the Leaf or somewhere, how do I ask for something like this? What am I asking for that's in proximity, I guess?
So there has to be a distinction. The Leaf, I know them very well, and that's a tobacconist. There's a lot of these cigar shops that people buy cigars. They don't sell cigars because they have, somebody working the counter as a cashier that really doesn't smoke, doesn't really know about the product, and you can't relate with them because they don't know. Then you have places like the Leaf where you would tell the guy working, listen, I want to try something new. I've enjoyed XYZ before. Trust them. Give me something, that you think. I will tell you, having managed the shop for 5 years, so many people come in saying, I want something light and mild, and they really don't. What they equate to strong is harshness. You ever have a cigar and you start smoking and the back of your throat starts to burn? Okay.
Yeah.
That's an under-fermented cigar. The tobacco in there wasn't fermented properly or long enough, and there's still residual ammonia in it. What gets your back of the throat is the ammonia. All right. Cuban cigars are famous for this because Cubans don't age their cigars. They roll them and they ship them. So that's a lot of people. There's body and there's strength and there's flavor. What's what, and it can get for the novice, the normal guy. It's don't just say I want mild and light, because you drink bourbon. You're not a mild cigar smoker. Period. End of story.
But he drinks it on the rocks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. So medium body.
Zima.
We'll go medium.
The Zima.
That cigar.
But Alex,
there-
I think a lot of people too confuse full-bodied and full-flavored. I think those
Absolutely.
are terms that
Yes.
people really don't understand when they walk into a cigar shop, right? And if they're not getting the right person that's helping them out, choosing something in the humidor, they're confused. They don't know that they're maybe looking for a full-flavored or a full-bodied cigar.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the misconceptions too in the cigar
Exactly.
industry that people don't understand.
They're in a foreign land,
Right.
and they're not. You're not speaking the language.
Yeah.
You're speaking what you think is the language, but it's really not. It's I don't want a harsh cigar. First of all, if you're getting a harsh cigar, shame on the person putting it out, because there's no reason to have ammonia in your cigar. And so you ever get the sweats when you smoke a cigar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That has nothing to do with the flavor and this and that. It has to do with nicotine. So nicotine in a strong cigar, which we'll say it's a strong cigar because it has a lot of nicotine content. And if you haven't eaten or whatever, the nicotine that goes in your blood tricks your brain, believe it or not, into thinking that your blood sugar is low. So when you start getting that like, holy shit, I think I'm drunk from this cigar, and like your stomach's turning a little queasy and you start sweating, that's the exact same thing that a diabetic feels when their sugar drops. Your brain is thinking your sugar dropped. The quickest and easiest solution to that, you grab a packet of sugar, put it underneath your tongue like a nitro, and you let it melt. And in 5 minutes, you'll be perfectly fine because your brain now gets the sugar.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
Little trick from your Uncle Alex.
Yeah.
Or a little nice dark chocolate.
Yeah,
that'll work too.
Complement the cigar nicely.
The other problem is that I think a lot of cigar smokers are afraid to build their palate. They find something they like, they sit on it, that's it. And when you give them something new, I don't like that. What? You don't like that because you just haven't experienced anything else. They haven't moved on. They smoke one thing. So there's a lot of people out there that I think do that also. And I mean, because right now you may like a certain cigar, like you might like that mild to medium with that peppery flavor, stuff like that. But as you become more in tune with smoking and you start to branch out to other things, you might find that, yeah, I do like that. But you know what? I really do like this sometimes. And it might be the mood. I mean, there's cigars that I like with coffee. And then there's other cigars I won't smoke with a coffee because it's just not, it doesn't pair well.
So people don't realize that either, that there's different cigars for different times of the day.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I have my breakfast cigar that's with a cup of coffee in the morning. And then I have, my pre-lunch and then a nicer, fuller bodied cigar after lunch. And people don't realize that through the day, you can change that profile. It all depends on how you're feeling for the day.
So I joined Patriots of the Leaf last month. Amazing experience. Absolutely loved it. Thank you guys for having me. And that night, I was fortunate enough to win this amazing Herfador and a packet of cigars. A couple days later, I sat by my fire pit. I took out the packet of cigars, and they were completely outside of my comfort zone, meaning it was nothing I would have personally chosen when I walked in because, that one looked a little darker. I don't know what this one is. I don't know what the hell a torpedo is. They were all delicious. I liked each one differently. And it didn't have them all in one sitting, thank God. But I experienced something a little that looked a little weird, Tony. I'm not gonna lie. And I was double fisting.
Only we saw it, right?
Yeah, that's all right.
That's what we do at the factory when we have 4 or 5 different blends. We got
that. Oh, okay.
4 or 5.
that too.
But it was great. It encouraged me to get out of my comfort zone and try something a little different. And I really liked it. It was that good. It really was very nice. And there were cigars that I wouldn't have gone in and said, let me try that because I don't know what I'm looking at. I really don't.
So that is the biggest challenge facing boutique cigars. When you're in a humidor and you got Exile Cigars, La Dahlia Versailles, and now Alaska sitting here, and you got Padron, and you got Fuente, and you got Tatuaje, and you got My Father. And, unless you have a tobacconist that says, hey, I know you like these cigars. Try this new one from Exile because it's and that's once you try it and you're like, wow, that's what else do they make? And then so it kind of said, how many people, Tatuaje is one of the biggest boutiques, if you still want to call them boutique. I'd like to consider myself like a micro boutique, like a micro blend beer or micro brew beer. And, people will walk in and I never, Tatuaje, and they mispronounce the name and they've never heard of it. Some of the best cigars, but Arturo Fuente, they've heard of, obviously. La Gloria Cubana, you see that's been around forever, so you have the legacy brands and you have the family owned brands. And then you have the micro boutiques that are, the lifeblood really of the industry because all the brands that you know of started where I am right now.
Good point.
So, Alex, what's the challenge when you get your cigar into a new shop? What's the challenge to get them to push your cigar? Because there is that comfort level of that household name. Everybody walks in, Arturo Fuente, Cohiba,
Mm-hmm.
So What's the challenge to get the people that are in the retail shops? How hard is it to get them to say, hey, look, you should be trying something else. Here's a boutique cigar. You know, how hard is it that to educate them to say, hey, this is what our profile is.
Right. So that's the key is, number one, have the people that work the shop try your cigar. Tell them the story. Why did the cigar come around? Why are you in the business? Why are you making this cigar? There's a lot of cigars out there that, some cigars sell because of the name, other cigars sell because of the story. Once you get customers that, number one, hear the story, smoke the cigar and like it, you have a customer for life. They'll keep buying the cigar. The challenge is getting that cigar in their hand. And cutting lights like the one I'm doing tonight, that's a huge component in getting customers of a shop to try cigars that are outside their comfort zone. We used to do an event every week at Main Street. It wasn't a big event, but sometimes we had the brand owners there, sometimes we didn't, but we would feature a different cigar every week on Thursdays. And it was to kind of get people to get out of their comfort zone. Stop ordering the chicken with broccoli every time you go to the Chinese place. Try the Mongolian beef. Try something else. Expand your palate.
Are we ordering Chinese?
That's funny.
Mungo Gai Pan?
That's Mike's,
Kung Pao.
That's Mike's stage name.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
You want one
Mungo Gai Pan?
Yeah.
You want one pan soup? You like long now, short now.
I know all of the ancient Chinese proverbs, actually. Man who farts in church sits in his own pew. Man who runs in front of car gets tired.
Oh my God.
Man who runs behind car gets
Please,
exhausted. Yes. Man who walks through airport turnstile sideways. He's going to Bangkok. I know all of them. Yep. I learned that.
It's a shame. But
I personally,
Mean
I
streets of
love
Red Bank.
anything that has a story. I'm a story guy when it comes to a bourbon, when it comes to a cigar. I think the story is what sells it, because there is that name brand that everybody knows. But when there's a story behind something, I think it connects people to that
Yes.
100%.
product.
It's an
right?
emotional
I mean,
attachment.
yeah, when you hear about a bourbon that comes from, and there's a backstory to it, anybody can
try
go
it.
and grab a whiskey off the shelf. But when you hear
470.
that backstory, that's the cool part about it. That's
Conor
what brings
McGregor's
you
Proper
in.
12. That came out, and because it was Conor McGregor's,
Yeah.
off the
Yeah.
charts.
And the whole thing is, it's up to you, to have a product that is good and well constructed and different flavor profiles, and that people will enjoy. If you could have the best story in the world, and that guy will buy that first cigar and try it. And if it's crap, which luckily today, not a lot of crap cigars out there. Like when I first started smoking cigars back in the mid 90s.
Joshua Vegas.
Don anybody. Don anybody. If you had $10,000, you went down to the DR.
Wait, Garsha
with a
Vegas are
briefcase,
bad?
boom. Only the great flavor White House can beat that one.
Nothing better than a backwoods.
Stop it.
The very first cigar I ever had was a backwoods, and it was on a camping trip. And I'd never
The mean
smoked
streets
cigars
of Red
before.
Bank.
But the mean streets, well, the hood of Rumson. It was the tough part. No, it was. And I tried one. I was like, this is delicious. I hated the smell of cigarette smoke because I grew up around a lot of cigarettes back in the day with my family and friends and stuff, and I hated the way it smelled. All of a sudden, I love the smell of it from afar, but I never wanted to smoke because I hated nicotine or cigarettes. When I tried a backwoods, I was like, this is pretty good. Then I tried a real cigar, and it was a game changer. Now that I'm retired, I have time, and I can enjoy it a little bit more. And
Well, and really look in the cigar world, right? What are we getting? We're getting the vape crowd, right? Because what happened? They banned all the flavors.
Yeah.
And now we got them coming in like, what do you got that's flavored? Right? You see it all the time. They come in and they're going to hit that flavor cabinet, hit that flavor cabinet, hit that flavor cabinet. And then after they come into the shop 10 or 15 times, then it's like, hey, well, try that over there, and then they realize that there's more than just right out flavoring the cigar with grape flavor to actually cigars have flavor, right? So
Yeah, and it's amazing that the natural product can produce those flavors of, chocolate and espresso and sweetness and, citrusy fruit and nuttiness. And you're like, how or why? It's just the natural, flavors in any plant. If you like lettuce, some people don't like arugula because it's got a pepperiness.
Yeah.
I equate it to Esteli Ligero. Same thing. It's got a pepperiness. Some people love it. Other people don't. But yeah, I mean, we've had, you talk about like a light cigar. I've had guys that will say, oh, that's too dark or whatever. And I say, oh, okay, here, try this cigar and tell me what you think. And they come back and, oh man, that cigar, that was a lot stronger than it looked. I said, yeah, and it was a light cigar, wasn't it? Yeah. Sometimes the high nicotine content, just because it's covered in a Connecticut wrapper, it's going to affect you different than, a really light Connecticut, that's, in my opinion, boring and just like puffing on air.
Can't judge a book by its
I'm
cover.
sorry. Did I say that out loud? But yet, that's probably.
I used to smoke the Macanudo Hyde Park like they were
Dude,
going
it's one of
at
the biggest
in the
selling
90s.
cigars in
That was like the
in
ultimate
America.
wedding cigar. You put that tubo in your pocket, and you had your cigar.
Mine was when I first started with the Excalibur 1066.
Mhm.
I smoked them forever.
No wonder you like those big
My-
cigars.
my
You
first
always
real
like- you
cigar-
always like them.
My first real cigar was the Ashton.
Ashton.
I went into a cigar shop and they had a sampler pack. It was like maybe 4 or 5 in this little chintzy looking plastic container. And it was before the brand really took off. But it was this little plastic chintzy container and had about 5 or 6 different size cigars. And it was a really decent price.
Yeah.
For a young guy, I was just starting out and getting into real cigars. I saw the price. I said, this is great. And I started buying them. Then, of course, Ashton took off and, the price doubled, tripled, and quadrupled. And
Yeah, well, I mean, that's been the case with everything. And
yeah,
one of the things that we did was, and knowing, boutique brand, something where, unfortunately, I can't buy the amount of tobacco that these big companies buy, so we pay more for the tobacco. So the cigar is a little bit more expensive. But we said, let's come out with a budget cigar. So we came out with the M67. Completely different, not the same labeling as the regular Exile cigars. And M67 is a fragmentation grenade. So so it was born
That's pretty
from
cool.
the smaller leaves and pieces when we make La Dalia, which is all great tobacco, but we got these small pieces. So we put a double binder on it and we put either a Connecticut or a Habano wrapper. And instead of a, $12 cigar, you got a $7 cigar.
so instead of long leaf, you're getting little
It's
pieces
a mixed
of
fill.
leaf and
It's a mixed fill cigar
yeah.
with a double binder. But when you smoke it, it doesn't flake. It doesn't fall apart like a lot of picadura cigars is what we call it, where they chop it up and they mix it all in and they basically roll a large cigar with all this little tobacco flakes, which
A
is
blunt.
terrible, by the way.
It's a blunt.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's terrible, by the way, when you're driving because
Yeah, pieces everywhere. You're constantly ashes everywhere.
Yes.
They're blowing around out the window.
Yeah.
It's great.
Back in the day,
Like
when
it's
you'd go to
smelling.
AC and they still had the servers who walked around with the tray of
Right.
cigarettes,
Mm-hmm.
cigars and stuff.
Oh my God! Who
cares?
The hell cares?
You could get the Hampton Courts. Remember the Macanudo Hampton Court?
Of
and
course,
the
one
little
of the
tube?
biggest sellers. Sure.
Yeah. And if I ever won big on slots, I'd get myself a cigar. I thought it was great. I thought I was a high roller at the penny slots. I was killing it.
Penny slots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can tell you, Alex, since I've been smoking it, it was very creamy at the beginning, and now I'm just getting that pepper, the white pepper, as I'm smoking that. It's a nice change because it starts out real light and then it just ramps up. Definitely ramps up as you smoke it.
And what's crazy is Dominican tobacco, it is known for white pepper, where Nicaraguan tobacco is known for black pepper. If you've ever had the difference between the two, you can really taste the difference between the two. Crash.
Okay.
Wasn't you.
It's Phillipsburg.
That's coming out of
There
somebody's
goes the
paycheck.
Second picture. Sorry, everybody. We have pictures falling throughout the podcast studio. Got a little windy, and we have the windows open. Just so while we're here, our godfather of the podcast, Tom Werther, has said hello to everybody out here.
Tommy boy.
Hey, Tom.
Tommy.
Say hello. That's www.lineofdutycigars.com.
Oh, stop it. Why do you have to work that in? I rob him. Why
That
do
was
you
for
have
you, Tommy.
to do
That
that?
was for you. Sorry.
I'm ashing in one of his ashtrays right now. So.
He feels my
Line of Duty Cigars. If you're not patrolling with the pig, you're doing it wrong. Wait, I don't even know. What?
he feels my pain with the packaging issues.
Absolutely.
It's this is my second favorite. My first favorite would be my first Corona that I put out, the La Dalia limited edition 23, and this is my second favorite. It's just nice.
I like the ring gauge on this cigar. I taste a lot of wrapper. I'll say starting out, I probably tasted a lot of like a mild nut, almost like a cashew type sweetness to it. Okay. Now I'm in my second, third. I'm getting a little bit more of that white pepper on the palate. So it's bringing me a little bit more closer to what I normally smoke is, like you say, Nicaraguan tobacco. I tend to gravitate towards. So I'm that black pepper guy. I like that dark coffee. Yeah.
It's a clean smoke too. It's not, you don't, your mouth.
It's not lingering.
Yeah. You're not, when you're done puffing on it, and
right.
It's not a long finish. It's a short finish, nice and clean.
Yeah.
And you can, the next puff just brings another.
You don't feel it on your teeth.
Yeah.
And that's what's nice, right? So, like I said, I started off and I felt.
Tony, you sound like you're in a tunnel.
Yeah, I said, my mic on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shut him off. We muted him.
No, your mic's on.
All right, sorry.
Lean into it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
there you go.
Don't be afraid. It's not gonna
I
right
was
up
a
on
little. No, I don't think it was on.
Get right up on it. Don't be afraid.
Close to it.
Closer. Hi, Mo.
Let's go closer.
I had that.
My wife is so hot.
Stacy, that's 5 PBA cards. YouTube, Blue.
Just for that.
I'm sorry, bro. Go on with your
Mike,
show.
Mike, how many more espressos do you want? Like 6 or
It's
7
kicking in. I'm telling you right now. This is me to 4. You don't want to see me to 6.
Make him a whole mocha.
Yeah, so like Dom said, he got that nutty type flavor. I got cream, but that's all of us, right? Our palates are all a little bit different. We're all gonna get a little bit different than us. I mean, your base flavors, we're all gonna kind of get right. Once you get to that pepper, like everybody's gonna taste that. But when those mild flavors,
Right,
that's all on your palate.
it's
each
those little
individual
subtle
person.
nuances that are sometimes hard to pick up for people, right? And it's hard when you're telling somebody the notes that you get, they don't get that, right? Because they're not used to looking for those notes, and kind of experiencing that. And you could be
like
weird.
you were saying about the bourbon before, how you got a little bit of cherry flavor
right
out of that. And it's the exact same thing. Some people won't taste the cherry.
Yeah, and I think that comes with time, especially getting out of your comfort zone. If you're the kind of guy that's smoking a little bit, staying with a Dominican cigar, the typical Dominican that's a little bit milder cigar, you might be just getting those creamy notes. But then you start to expand a little bit. Maybe you go with an Ecuadorian Connecticut. Now you're getting those grassy notes. So people don't even realize that there's different variables of those cigar tobaccos too that are going to start to bring in those different flavors depending on where that tobacco is grown.
You talk about Connecticut, and I love the state of Connecticut. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to a Connecticut wrapper versus an Ecuadorian grown Connecticut wrapper,
so much better.
I will take Ecuador all the
100%.
It doesn't have that bitterness, that dry grass flavor that Connecticut has. And you're talking about the same varietal, same plant, just grown in 2 different places.
Oh, different minerals and
I'll tell you,
different soil.
The soil, 100%. Like Tony said, you get that volcanic soil, you're getting those richer soils. I think you're getting more flavor in those kind of wrappers. Everybody wants that Connecticut wrapper, but an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper to me is got so much more full flavor to it.
Yeah.
Now, are there certain foods or fruits or whatever that you can eat while you're smoking?
Oh my God,
cigar
Campy,
that
please.
accentuate-
Always
Shut-
pizza.
please
Pizza
shut
goes
the
with
fuck up,
everything.
Campy.
There it is.
Pizza.
Josh, I'm contributing.
Pizza.
Mo, I'm contributing.
There it
See that?
is.
There it
Take a
is.
drink.
Espresso's kicking in.
There it is.
So if you want to clean your palate, the most neutral nut, I think, would be an almond. It's the abrasiveness when you chew it, and you know, it'll clear your palate out. Like if we're, you know, doing a tasting at the factory, we'll do maybe like a little bit of water with sparkling water with a little bit of lime in it. Again, the lime, the citrus lemon kind of clears your palate a little bit, so you can, you know, I always recommend if you smoke the cigar and you're going to smoke a second one, try to clear your palate first, because it's kind of the equivalent of, you know, having a slice of pizza or having a hot wing first and then having a slice of pizza. You're
Having
tasting-
pepperoni first and then
Right.
go in that plain slice
Plain,
and you're
it's
done.
like-
Your
it's
palate's
like,
shot.
Yeah.
What am I tasting? I'm not tasting
It's like
anything.
a wine tasting.
Right.
You're gonna swap out before you jump in.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're drinking bottles and James. So
Yeah.
I
A
mean,
nice box
Marbles and
wine.
James. What the fuck is that?
Pepperidge Farms remembers. Yep.
Thank you for your support.
Do they still make wine coolers?
You're
Bottles of
you're,
James?
you're
I
almost
think
coming
so.
up on an hour, boys.
Whoa.
Take a break. Stretch your legs. Let's go to a commercial.
all right, folks, we're gonna be back in a few minutes.
Gotta pay the
with Alex
bills.
Martinez. We got to pay the bills and
Stretch each other's legs.
stretch each other's legs. I mean,
Ooh, I didn't know.
Dominic doesn't have
to
to stretch his legs as much as the rest
I'm
of
only
us.
5'4",
Jesus.
so I need some stretching.
Somebody give Campy an
We're gonna
espresso.
get-
Another
you're gonna get
espresso.
Campo
Make it a
another-
double.
Yeah, triple espresso, and we're gonna see if he jumps through the producer window on the second half. Welcome back, everybody. Watching some videos there from one of our sponsors, Mobile Cigar Lounge. And Patriots of the Leaf will be having a fundraiser down at Summers Point Cigar. Summers Point Cigar down there in Summers Point, New Jersey, will be holding a Police Week fundraisers with the proceeds going to the charity of Patriots of the Leaf. Come on out May 3rd. Down to Summers Point starting at 4:30. They're going to have food, a band, live band. They ask you to buy some cigars from the cigar lounge. Come hang out with us on the back patio, relax, and hang out and smoke some cigars and listen to a nice band and support the cause.
And then head to AC afterwards.
And head to
win
AC.
big.
Win big.
Go. There you
You
go.
can head to AC afterwards and win the big.
That's it.
Mikey Campanella running through a
That's it.
casino
With a Hampton Court.
with a Hampton Court.
In
No,
Miami.
he'll have it in Alaska.
That's right. Yes, I
That's
will
horrible.
now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I want to say, you just made my day. You like the cigar so much. You said I need another one,
Can I have another?
and yeah, man.
And this one's just as delicious as the first. It's amazing how
Stop
evenly
trying
they
to
burn.
contribute now, Campy.
Campy's the best.
It's the espresso.
So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love the Caesar and the Langyong factory. It's a small factory, and their quality is just impeccable. I really don't have any complaints as far as draw or burn, construction. The cigars are just really, really fantastic.
Speaking of quality, I think one of the things that while we were off camera, right, Campy was sitting there talking about the actual quality and construction of the cigar, getting a nice even burn. And that's something too for you're noticing, like it's got a really nice burn. I mean, you can see I'm 2/3 of the way through, and that cigar is just burning really, really nice.
In my opinion, the number one thing a cigar has to have outside of anything else is good construction. Because I don't care how good the cigar is, if there's problems with construction, if it's, like you were talking about, sometimes you get the real uneven burn or tunneling, and it just ruins the whole experience. It not burning right, you're not getting the flavors like they're meant to be, because you got some tobaccos burning faster than others, so you're getting more flavor out of that instead of the full blend. And if you have a bad construction, that's the killer on a cigar.
I think tunneling for me is the most frustrating.
Yeah.
Canoeing you can kind of deal with. You get a little runner going. You can you can always deal with that.
Pinch off the void.
Pinch it off,
Yeah.
but the canoeing is the most frustrating part. When that binder and wrapper are not keeping up with the filler inside there, and the filler is just burning away, it's the most frustrating thing. You're just constantly relighting that. You're reheating that cigar. You're getting it hot, and you're not tasting the tobacco the way it's supposed to be tasted.
Exactly right.
And
you know what? Not for nothing, but when you pay $15, $20, $30 a cigar,
right,
you expect the construction to be there.
Yeah, sure.
Not everybody's going to like every cigar. Not every cigar smoker is going to like Alaska. We all know that. Some people don't like steak. I don't understand why, but they don't. Whatever.
I'm a vegan.
But
okay.
You scared me, Dom. I got worried for a second.
His socks are made out of mortadella.
That's true.
But if you don't have
Breakfast of
that
champions.
construction, man, it's just a frustrating. Cigars are meant to be relaxing. Take away the stress of the day, enjoy it. And if you got one of those cigars that, oh my God, it's frustrating. It raises your blood pressure. It's supposed to lower it.
Yeah.
So
That's
the biggest thing.
chilling, we're relaxing. It's good stress relief. You get yelled at all the time if you're like you do. Like we smoke too many cigars, right? But really, the grand scheme of things, probably not.
What's too many?
Yeah,
What's the
exactly.
number?
What's too
I
many?
haven't hit it yet.
I haven't hit it yet. One thing I got, guys, if you're interested, you want to ask a question to Alex Martinez, you got our numbers floating around the bottom of the cast there. Give us a call. We just asked if you call, please don't call in on the device that you're watching.
Thank you.
Say that.
Thank
No,
you.
no,
Yeah.
I remembered. Unlike everybody else.
Oh my God.
We could take live
held up
calls.
a
You're
cue
more than welcome
card.
to call in.
Held up a cue
No,
card
he
for
didn't hold
Tony.
up- He didn't hold up a cue card. I'm pretty good. It's not like those other guys on those other shows, right? So,
Tommy has a
patrolling with the pig.
if you're not patrolling with the pig, you're doing it wrong.
That's right. So, we're here. I think actually all of us are members of Patriots too, which is nice. That Mikey
Very
just
nice.
joined. Maybe Mo will join one day, but he's always here, and I don't know why his wife lets him out of the house every Saturday to come down here to the podcast. But,
She needs a break.
She probably needs a break, right? She probably needs a break.
She wants him to
100%.
hang with me. That's all.
100%.
That's it.
Oh, dude, I told you about that, bro.
She doesn't know you're here.
She doesn't know who- She would have came up today.
She prefers he take his cigar smoking habit here.
My brother's gonna be joining Patriots to the Leaf. That's very exciting. Got a
Well,
couple more prospective members coming up. Which is,
Outstanding.
I told you when you woke up this morning, my wife's like, "Is Campy doing a show today?" you literally have your first groupie.
But Tony,
I'm
you talk
so
about
proud.
Patriots and
I'm
Leaf.
so flattered. I'm so honored. I'm running out of PBA cards, to be honest with you, which is a good thing.
I think
You're
you
up to
should-
like 4.
you should just-
Yeah, maybe 6.
I think a nice 24 by 32 self glossy signed, from the Comic Cop.
I'm getting a doll
I
made.
mean,
If she's a groupie,
Right.
doesn't she deserve a gold card?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. You too, Blue.
Maybe even platinum.
So explain a little bit of what Patriots is, because people might not know.
Oh no, we talked about Patriots before. Patriots to the Leaf, 501c3. Dominic's actually our vice president. 501c3 cigar club for veteran and first responders. We have 4 lodges in the state of New Jersey: Central Shore, South, which is like Camden.
Is that really Jersey anymore?
That's
I-
way
I don't
south.
know.
That's like all the Mason-Dixon line down
there
there.
is a town down there called Cowtown. We were referring to. I drove through that the first time, and I thought I was in Texas. Actually sent video. I actually FaceTimed my buddy from Dallas, and he's like, "I'll never move to Jersey." I was like, "Guess where I am?" He's like, "What are you doing in Texas?" I'm like, "I'm in New Jersey. Look at this place."
Imagine the Sopranos driving through New Jersey, but through Salem County. People are like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, you see the turnpike and you see all those,
Cadillac.
this garbage in the air that we have to breathe and stuff.
You
Imagine
noticed
going through
when we
Salem
had the
County.
Garbage in the air.
Well, it's good. It's like nutrients.
You noticed when we had the drone crisis, right? You never heard about a drone in Salem County,
No.
right?
Drone
No
crisis.
shotguns. There would have been howitzers going off down there. I mean,
Crisis. That was a psyop, bro.
was a-
Crisis. Stop.
you know what I mean, but I'm just saying. Well, listen, it wasn't a crisis for me or you, but it was a crisis for everyone else, right?
It was
So-
it was realtors looking for more property.
Yeah.
That's
the
why I love
market
the
is
state
that
of
was that-
Florida, man.
It was-
The
no, that-
drones could have been there, but it was never reported because they were shot down and buried within minutes.
Yeah. Well, it was that apartments.com .com guy, right? He was out there looking for some more land.
They're passing. They're putting a bill forth in Florida that if a drone is over your property under 200 feet, you can blast it out of the sky.
Oh boy, here we
That's
go.
great.
Oh, stand your air.
Yes,
Stand your air.
That's
Is
right.
that what it's
Oh,
called?
my
I don't know.
Oh no,
Stand your ground versus air.
I mean, that's going to cause all kinds of issues.
Josh
with
already
the-
texted his
with the
wife. I'm
feds.
moving to Florida.
So Megan, Megan has another question. She
Go ahead,
says,
Megan.
"How does the time of day or the occasion influence your cigar choice?" Now, I actually have. I can weigh in on this. I really feel that the enjoyment of a cigar it has to do with the whole, like, who you're with, the time of the circumstances, the time of day, the
Oh
mood-
my God!
the
Who
mood.
cares?
The mood
Yeah.
you're feeling.
That was pretty good.
yeah no
I almost thought it was the pre.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Dude, that was almost perfect.
it really was actually.
Peter Griffin.
Yeah. No, but you get it. But no, I'll defer
It's
to
the
you.
atmosphere. You're right. Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes the actual surroundings and the event, and you'll smoke a cigar while at this event, and you're having such a great time. You're like, wow, this cigar is so freaking good, and then 5 days later you smoke another one. You're like, it's good, but it wasn't that good.
It wasn't that
It's
good.
in the moment
in the moment.
experience,
It's great,
Exactly.
right?
But
We see that all the time. You see somebody smoke a cigar that is, for lack of a better term, maybe the best cigar out there in the market, but it's an in the moment. You're at an event or you're with a group of people and you're smoking that cigar, and it brings you in.
Yes.
You get sucked into that
Yes.
that energy. everybody around you, everybody's having a good time. I mean, cigars to me is a very social thing. You know, you don't go to a cigar shop, smoke a cigar in 15 minutes and run out. That's for the guy that has to smoke a cigarette on his porch in the rain because he's not allowed to smoke in his house. Cigar is meant to be enjoyed. Take your time with it. I mean, look, we're smoking. How long have we been sitting here smoking? Except for Campy. He sucked that thing down like
time of day.
Like it was a yoo-hoo.
Campy's on his 5th.
He's got 2 going.
It's the espresso.
And it's not bourbon.
Time of day has a lot to do with it too. I mean, so there's actually 2 opposing schools of thought on, light cigars in the morning and then your heaviest at night versus start off heavy. And I'm old school. I prefer a lighter cigar. My taste buds aren't awake yet. They don't want to get bashed over the head.
Yeah.
Look with
Crash
that
and burn.
picture, that just hit me.
That's coming out of your paycheck.
And it's a time of day thing.
We have a budget
is,
for that?
Lighter cigars in the morning, progressively getting stronger. And if you're pairing it with a drink or think about it, you're drinking coffee in the morning, you're having lighter food, so you want a lighter cigar. Lunchtime, you might be having something, so you crank it up a little bit, you go medium. And then at night, now you're having that steak, now you want, the bourbon afterwards. So you want something stronger, savory, peppery, something that's going to cut through what you've had throughout the day so that your taste buds can kind of taste it. So you go a little heavier at night. That's the way I do it.
I'm kind of a bookend guy. I start with a little bit lighter cigar in the morning. I don't eat breakfast. I just go with a couple of espressos in the morning or a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I'm like a 4 cigar a day guy, right? Don't let my wife hear this, but I start out with a little bit lighter cigar, usually like an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper in the morning. Mid-afternoon and later in the day, dinner time, I go with a heavier cigar, more of a Maduro wrapper, something, maybe a Brazilian or something, just a little bit richer, a little bit full. And at the end of the day, most of the times I'm going back to that Ecuadorian Connecticut to lighten things up before bed at the end of the night. But that's just me. That's just the way it's just in my head. That's my pattern.
Well, I mean, I look at it too. Like if I'm having something early and I'm having an espresso or a cup of coffee, I love Espinosa Cremas. I think it's the perfect pairing for a cigar. That's me. That's my favorite. Mm-hmm. When it comes to having, espresso in an early morning cigar, it's got that creaminess that I love that pairs well with a black coffee. But then again, you're talking about the end of the night. You're having your espresso before you go to bed. And a lot of people don't think can't be having an espresso before bed. He's up till next Tuesday.
Forget about
That's it.
We have an espresso at the end of bed. We go right to sleep. You're the same way.
Yeah.
We're popping him up with espresso next meeting at 10 p.m. Sending him home. Here you go. Deal with this.
Good luck.
Walk it off. We'll run around the block a few times. Do a couple push-ups.
I'll push my car home. Who's that guy on 78 eastbound?
Is Campy having a show today?
So this week I actually ran into Campy's brother, just by coincidence. Never.
This
met
is
him
fake
before.
news.
No such
It's
thing
not
as
fake.
coincidence.
Campy fan club will meet
Complete
later.
coincidence, and we started just chatting, and his brother looked at me, and he looked at me, and he's like, yeah. I was like, your brother shot out of a cannon. He goes, he makes ADHD look calm.
And he's 100% right. That poor kid shared a bed with me for 20 years. A bedroom. Yeah. He knows the belly of the beast.
I was dying. I was like, oh, it's too funny.
But that was so fun
You're right.
because you ran into him, you texted me, and he texted me, and it was so much fun because what are the chances you go into his gun shop and then worlds collide?
Yeah, not a clue. I mean, not a clue. It was just funny.
So you were talking about the fire pit, and tell me that's not some of the best moments ever.
Sitting by the fire pit with a stick is the greatest thing on earth. It really is. And the cigar is great. And you mentioned this too. Like the atmosphere kind of determines how it's going to go. When we were at the Patriots the Leaf a couple weeks ago, I ran into 2 guys I haven't seen in a long time. One guy I went to high school with and one guy I worked with on the job. And sitting there in that room with 20 different guys smoking 20 different types of cigars, it just it was a nice atmosphere. It was a low-key atmosphere. It was one of the few times when, as a cop or a retired cop, you don't look over your shoulder. You know you're in the presence of good people, and you enjoyed every single taste of the cigar. When you sit by your fire pit in your backyard, well, fire is a spirit. It really is. And that feeling of being near it with this is amazing. It really is. It brings out the flavor. It brings out peace, calm, tranquility, and bourbon, of course. But it's nice. It really is. I swear I have a cigar by my fire pit, and I don't think about anything. I don't think about bills. I don't think about my schedule. I don't care what's on my phone, social media, nothing. It's just therapeutic. It really is. Nothing matters. And it's an escape.
And
The pina colada song.
And I can tell you, in the summertime, I mean, coming from Rumson, in the mean streets of
The rough
Red
part.
Bank, you probably never had to ride a lawn tractor like the boys here. Nice little cigar in the lawn tractor in the summertime. Makes the day go by while you're going around circles in the heat.
It does.
And it actually harkens back to the original use of cigars, which were religious. The Taino Indians would smoke tobacco. And you've all heard the name of the Cohiba. Cohiba was the shaman of the tribe. And there's another cigar out there called Atabey, which is a very high-end cigar. So that they would have the religious ceremony where they would smoke the tobacco with the Cohiba, the shaman, and they'd blow the smoke up to the god Atabey. And it was a religious, really, experience. And that's what I like to say a lot of times when you sit back and you just really enjoy a cigar and you're zoned in. You kind of like you enter your own world. Your stress just leaves. You're just sitting there, just enjoying life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well said. Definitely
Really
well said.
It's definitely a spiritual, especially sitting around a fire, watching those flames just flickering and kicking, and they're all dancing, and you're just sitting there with that cigar.
It's great.
Just
It really
zoning
is.
out, right?
You
Another
fall
world.
right to sleep.
And this is the time of
Fall
year,
into the
fall
fire.
and
Fall in the
spring.
fire.
Yeah, and that happens.
Wake up without
that
eyebrows.
happens sometimes too.
It
Yeah.
happens. What are you gonna do?
What happened to my shoes?
Melting his hey dudes. He's got Vans.
Yeah.
Melting out his soles in his Vans.
I had to stop on the way here to get a new pair of Hey Dude.
Wearing
I had to hear the
flip-flops.
story.
What am I Coles?
Here we
and
go.
Hey dudes.
They are comfortable
Knockoffs.
as hell, though.
Yes.
What do you think, guys? You're
I love it.
you guys are
I love
you're gonna make it or break it here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen,
And I tell people all the time, listen, when you smoke, when I give you a cigar and I ask you, what do you think of it? Because I like to test market. When I'm coming up with a blend, once I kind of decide on the blend, I'll get some, after it's been rolled and sat for a little bit, and I'll hand them out to guys that I know have good palates and will give me an honest answer. And when I say honest, please be honest with me, because you're talking about my now new livelihood, and if you're tasting something in that cigar that you don't like, I want to hear about it, and I want to know why you don't like it, because it could be something in the blend. Sometimes you make a cigar and you taste it and it tastes great, and after 3 months you taste it again, you're like, no, not so great. Why? And then you have to figure out what tobacco in there is now clashing, and that's where the master blender comes in. You try not to have those, problems when you have the experience and the knowledge. Better than to put something in there that's gonna kind of clash after a bit. So you try not to ever get to that point. But sometimes when you tweak a blend and you say, no, I want something this and that, and then they put something in, and then you go back and you go,
that
you were
didn't
right.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work. So I can tell you, I'm on the back third. Like I said, front third, I had that creaminess built into that white pepper, and now in the back third, I'm getting a nice nuttiness on the back for the end of the cigar. So it's a nice flavor change throughout the cigar, and I think it's finishing up very well for me.
I'll say this again. I can't stress enough. I love the Habano wrapper. The burn is amazing. The ash stays on there nice. The draw is fantastic. I'm getting a nice plume of smoke coming out without even just, just taking a regular pull on this cigar. I'm getting a really nice plume of cigar. I know you just blew out a huge plume of cigar, pretty much filled the room. And for anybody, like, obviously there's a lot of different cuts and people prefer different cuts. We did the pulling the pigtail off, which I sort of tend to gravitate towards a punch. I love a punch cut. I taste a lot more wrapper when I do a punch cut. I know everybody's, big V cut or a guillotine cut, going off of it, but
And pulling it off is
it's just like a punch, right? And that's what I was going to say. Like pulling that pigtail off. Before we got on camera, Alex was talking about how to, properly pull off the pigtail, which I think is a classy way. When you look at that cigar, reminds me of that old Cuban-looking cigar with the pigtail on there.
Exactly.
Pulling that off, which is really nice, and it's great because if this is the kind of cigar, if you don't have a cutter with you, you're ready to go. You're not looking
If
for
you got teeth
something.
and fingernails, you got a cutter.
Yeah, and my nails are short, and you pull it off perfectly. It's got that punch cut feel to it, which I love. And like I say, with a punch cut, I'm still getting a really good draw and a lot of smoke coming out of it. Usually you need a guillotine cut to get that big draw, but with this,
Well, again, the bigger the ring gauge, and for a Corona, Lancero, I like the punch. And what I love is the new thing that all these lighters, like the new Exile lighters, have the little punch
right on the bottom, which is great.
And listen, sometimes you don't have a cutter and you want a bigger cut. Don't be ashamed to put 3 holes in it. Just and that opens it up just like if it was a guillotine. But it's in a big ring gauge, like Tony, I know loves those 60s.
He loves those 60s and 70s.
You put a punch cut on that, it's like trying to.
It's like smoking a big toe.
Like trying to suck a milkshake through a cocktail straw.
Right.
You can't put a punch on it. No, you need a V cut.
You need something bigger. But this size, it lends itself perfectly.
No, this
to
is
that.
perfect.
And this is, in my opinion, so it's called a Corona, which translates to the crown. In the early days of cigars, everything that the Cubans blended, they blended to this size because it gives you the biggest flavor from the wrapper, and it adds more flavor. Then when they worked their way up to a bigger ring gauge, they adjusted the blend, to try to keep as much of that flavor as they could. But this was the crown. This was the standard size, and I still love it. It's not the best-selling size. And I understood that going in when I made the first limited in a 5.5. This is a 6x46. It's not the size that a lot of the consumers gravitate to, but it's a size that I want the consumers to try to show them the difference between a 54 or 56 and a 46. And the flavor is just completely different. You get more wrapper, and the wrapper is the most expensive.
And I think that's what people don't realize, that the wrapper is where you're getting that flavor from. The bigger the cigar, the less wrapper you're going to taste, the more of that internal combustion of the tobacco that you're going to get, and it's going to kind of, to me, water down the wrapper.
Yeah, I mean, think about a lemonade, right? You have an 8-ounce glass with a half a lemon squeezed in and a tablespoon of sugar, and you mix it in a great lemonade. Okay, now you add another 8 ounces of water. What do you got?
It's watered down.
Yeah, and same thing with a cigar. A lot of the big ring gauge manufacturers out there, it's impossible. And I'm telling you this just from being, cutting my teeth in the cigar industry. Good tobacco costs more. And to make a 60 ring gauge cigar that sells for MSRP of $10 or $11 is impossible to use good tobacco long leaf filler.
Right.
It's just, I don't care how much of it you buy. It does economically, financially, you can't justify that price unless you're using less expensive tobacco that, it just fills it in to make it that ring gauge size. My 60 ring in the La Dahlia is the most expensive cigar in the line at $13.50 MSRP. That's without any taxes or anything else. And it really should be $15.50. But if you're putting that cigar next to a Padron that's $15, which one is
people are going to grab the Padron because they know that name.
You have to, make your price You make less money on it, oh well, but it gets people to try the line and then hopefully gravitate towards the other one. I haven't made a 60 ring in the Connecticut or the Habano because of the cost considerations. It's just it's very hard to make it at a competitive price when you're dealing with that much tobacco. And if you weigh a La Dalia Gorda and a 7,000 Padron, you will noticeably feel the difference in weight. There's a lot more tobacco in the La Dalia than there is in the Padron. It's just the way they make it. And, the Padron smokers are a class of their own. A guy that likes Padron will always smoke Padrons. You can put them underneath stuff, in the back of the humidor, they'll find it.
Yeah.
You don't have to put them up high. And that's their cigar, and they love it because it burns really good, and the draw is really light, and they make a great cigar, and they're one of the best in the industry. But in order to get that really loose draw, you just underfill the cigar a little bit, making it lighter. You use less tobacco.
Question. With a properly treated humidor, how long?
Don't start now, bro.
You don't want me to go?
Of course.
No, go ahead.
With a properly treated humidor, how long does an average cigar last in the humidor?
If you
Fresh.
maintain a cigar, you can smoke cigars from the Cuban cigars from the 50s. They'll be a little lighter. So sometimes the cigar will actually strengthen a little bit as it ages, and then they kind of like plateau, and they meld together, and it's fantastic. And then after a while, it'll start losing a little bit of that strength and a little bit of that flavor. But as far as being good, as long as they're maintained in a proper humidity, they'll last forever.
When a cigar gets crusty, dried out, is there any way to bring it back, or no? Is it toast?
So it depends on how crusty and dry. If it loses the oils, you can bring it back and smoke it.
Whoa.
Yeah, a little.
There's a power.
It's another motorcycle crash. We had a
don't worry
high-speed
about
chase
that. Yeah,
before.
We're
Yeah,
still
that's
up.
good.
We're still up. That's good.
So it'll if it loses the oils, you'll lose a lot of the flavor on it. You'll still be able to smoke it, but it'll be like super light, like a Macanudo Hampton Court.
Okay.
Right. And it could have been a powerhouse, but now it lost the oils. But if like let's say you went on vacation, whatever, and you had them, and oh my God, 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, you take it out the bag and they're a little dry. Stick them in the humidor for a couple of weeks. They'll reabsorb humidity. They'll be fine.
Tony, these shirts came out amazing, by the way. Outstanding job.
Love the
Absolutely
shirts.
love them.
Very nice job.
Very nice.
Thanks to Angelo from JCL, Ink Prints. And,
Yep.
He did a fantastic job for putting these together for us. We really appreciate him. What else we got? Got anything else?
Nothing on my end.
Yeah. What do you got, Alex? What do you got coming up? What's new besides your event? You got anything you want to plug?
No, well, we'll be releasing the Alaska shortly. We're in about 30 stores right now. New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Did I say New York? I did say New York. Puerto Rico, Florida.
Nice.
And we're growing slowly. If you're not near any shop that carries it, you can check out the online store at unicornsmokes.com, where we also have the LFD NFT cigar and the Tatuaje Anarchy NFT cigar.
Why don't you explain about the NFT real quick? So people understand that cigar.
Yeah, the LFD NFT came from Tony Gomez, the son of Lito Gomez. He loved the Andalusian Bull, which a lot of people that smoke cigars have heard of it because it came out #1 several years ago, and it was the cigar that kind of pushed LaFleur's manufacturing capabilities to the edge. It kind of overtaxed them because whenever a cigar comes out #1, they get bombed. All they want to smoke is that. Well, he liked the cigar, but he did not like the size of it. It's a big Salomon. So he told the factory, make it in a Lonsdale format, which is a 6x48. And he would hand it out at events, and the factory starts getting all these phone calls. Hey, where can we get the cigar? It's great. It's fantastic. We love the cigar. And they're like, no, it's Tony's. So he came up with a great idea. I'm going to do an NFT. We're going to make 7 NFTs. Each one's going to have a numbered humidor. And they're going to be the only ones, those 7 people that win the NFT at auction are going to be the only ones that are able to buy it from LFD. So silly me, I was one of those people that got the NFT cigar. The MSRP on it is $200 a stick. It is absolutely amazing. And then shortly after that, Abe at Smokin' in Florida had Pete Johnson from Tatuaje reblend their famous Anarchy, which was a store blend for Smokin' down in Florida. It was an extremely successful cigar. It was fantastic. So they did the same thing. They came out with an NFT, again, 7 of them. And we have 2 of those as well. So we're probably the only NFT owner that owns 2 of each of the NFTs. Some places have 2 of them now that they bought one from another place, but none of them have both NFTs. We're probably the only place online that you can get both of the NFTs. Right at unicornsmokes.com. And if you go to our website, exilecigars.com, you'll get to see the story about how the brand was came about, it developed, and the different releases that we have. And there's a link there. We are very supportive of brick and mortars, and we urge everyone, if your local brick and mortar carries Exile, buy them there. And if they don't, tell them to bring it in. But if you can't, and there's, you're in Connecticut, you're in wherever, and they don't have a shop near you that has Exile, then feel free. We got 5-packs and samplers and all that on the website.
Awesome.
I just want to say one last thing about the Alaska. When you showed the promo of it, I love the classy look of, and we were talking about this earlier in the green room before the show. The double band to me is
Yes.
It's got that classy look. I love the way the color kind of meets with the color of the wrapper. I'm a blue and brown guy. Like, I love those colors. I'm wearing blue and brown today, actually. So I just love the way that cigar looks. I'm super excited for it to come out. I'm happy for you guys.
So our color scheme, again, you talk about everything has a meaning.
Yeah.
The colors of the American flag are red, white, and blue. The colors of the Cuban flag are red, white, and blue. Our releases, La Dahlia was red, Versailles was white, and now Alaska is blue. Because those 2 countries, my heritage comes from Cuba. It's on my arm. And then on my chest, I have an eagle with an American flag draped on it. Because if it weren't for those 2 countries, none of this would have been possible.
Again, the stories are what makes it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Alex, during the break, we mentioned you brought up a really cool bit of trivia. Where did the cigar bands come from? You explained this. It was pretty cool. I like that.
So in the 1800s, people think that not a lot of women smoke cigars, and they actually do. And in the 1800s, just as many women smoked cigars as men. The problem that they were having was they would wear white gloves a lot of the time, and the tobacco would stain their white gloves. So they would take tissue and wrap it around the cigar to save their gloves from getting stained. And that's where the actual cigar band came from. Later on, it became the identity of the cigar, the advertising and everything else. But originally, it had a very utilitarian aspect, keeping your gloves from getting dirty.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Dom, any update on the baby?
Let's check.
How many minutes apart?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
We're still waiting. She said a couple hours.
Couple hours. Very good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm very
Don,
excited.
again. Campy, got anything? You on the road?
Thank you guys for having me. This is
Yeah.
great. The espresso's kicking in. I'm feeling really good.
Oh, real quick, if you guys want to look, also, Alex has a nice new set of lighters that just came out. Nice 2-frame lighter pack here. Got the nice Exile logo on the front.
Got a nice feel to it.
Nice feel.
Steel feel feels.
Yeah, they're all solid
really,
metal.
Really nice.
Beautiful
and that's the
colors.
thing. I hate when, and I had to do it with the cutter. I got a new little perfect cut for those people that don't know how much to cut off a cigar. Those perfect cuts work really, really well because it cuts off the exact amount that you need. And it's always good to have an extra cutter, a cheap one laying around. And unfortunately, because of the cost of the expensive, I couldn't, give those away. But I have the little plastic ones with the logo on there, and the lighters will be going on the website for sale. And they're usually giveaways, and it's got a punch.
And it's got a
Yes,
punch,
it does.
which for me, that's a
Yeah.
that's a go right there.
They'll be on the website.
Yep.
They're only $20, and you know, buy a box, you're gonna get a lighter free anyway. So,
And we can get those on exilecigars.com.
unicornsmokes.com, which is our storefront for the cigars.
Are they going to offer the lighters in the shops as well if somebody buys a box? Is that
Yes,
are they
when
doing-
we do cutting lights, yeah,
Okay.
we usually we'll raffle them off, and we'll also do with box purchases. We'll do a lighter
Nice.
and the cutter. You know, we have other swag, shirts and hats and stuff.
And you have the one going on tonight, right now, right?
Yep. My son is manning the fort. Matter of fact, he was just calling me. I don't know why. I hope he's there.
That's right. Smoking Gnome in
Smoking Gnome, East Brunswick, Route 18. Yeah,
the
nice,
old
nice
Don,
shop. The old Don Francisco's.
Don Francisco.
And
right
again,
into-
we support our brick and mortar partners tremendously. They're one of the first shops to take the leap and carry Exile Cigars, and so we always do a cut and light there, and we have some nice accounts that have supported us from the beginning. Main Street Cigars, shout out to them. That's where I was the manager, and the owner Brian was
big supporter of Patriots of the Leaf as well.
Yes, absolutely.
and he was very, very enthusiastic when I told him I wanted to start my own brand, and pushed me and said, "Yeah, go ahead, do it. You need to do it." And, he was instrumental as well. Fanatics up in Lodi, another great shop, and I'm missing a whole bunch of shops. Frank Land down in
Cigars, in
Cigars,
Rio Grande,
Rio
New Jersey.
Grande.
Absolutely.
I'll be there.
Frank
I'll be there probably sometime in June. Love to go visit Frank, and one of the best humidors in the state. But yeah, it truly is an honor and a privilege to be here and be your guest and help me get the word out about Exile. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
We thank you for coming out today. We really appreciate your knowledge and just the history of where Exile came from. Your family history is just fantastic. And like I said, everybody's got a story. We like to hear the stories, and we want to help out our own brothers and sisters. So again, like if you're watching out there, you own a cigar company, you're a veteran or first responder, reach out to us here at the Blue Room Podcast and the Big Blue Stogie Review. And maybe we could have you on, or even we could video you in and discuss your products out there. And we're going to do some other things coming up in the near future. Dominic, what do you got besides baby watch?
That's it. I'm on baby watch for the rest of the day, just waiting for my first grandchild. So I'm excited.
Campy's not going on no comedy tour to Australia or anything like that. No,
Not anytime soon.
Not
Nothing
anytime
yet.
soon. Okay, very
But thanks for having me. This was amazing. Awesome first show,
You're
Tony.
always-
This is great.
You're always welcome, Mike. We'd love to have you. All right, so we got
Let's get dinged again. Why not?
It's the Alaska that's giving me the rhythm. That's what it is. The
Very
espresso
catchy.
gave me the energy. The Alaska gave me the rhythm. There you
There
go.
you go.
be up to 75 cents today.
There you go. Winning.
Very catchy, that little sound bit.
You'll
is,
be
we gotta-
whistling.
Oh,
it
I'll
on
be
your
humming
way
it on the
home.
way
We're
home.
gonna-
Right now,
hour and a
Tommy
half
Werther
drive
is
home,
using
so-
all the energy he has left from his aids, and he's just kicking.
Tom-
I don't even know,
Tom, just so you know,
a sock over. What does he have left? So weak.
I'm finding that guy, and we're bringing him into the studio.
No,
We're
I'll be
bringing him
honest.
Live performance.
All right. What do we got? We roll some clips, and we'll talk about some things we got coming on here.
We got the
Patriots
Spanish Tavern coming up.
So
soon,
yeah,
right?
let's go with the first fundraiser on May 3rd. Let's just show that video again, and then we'll talk about that and our Spanish Tavern. Some things we got going.
Police Week fundraiser.
Yeah.
I got you.
Moving.
Thanks, you guys. That's it. May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd, down at Summers Point Cigar. Thanks to Stephen Ortiz from Summers Point Cigar. He's running a fundraiser during Police Week. All proceeds are going to support Patriots of the Leaf. Something that Steve does every year during Police Week. He chooses a police or first responder agency to or 501c3 to support. And this year he's supporting Patriots of the Leaf. He's been doing it for about 3 or 4 years now. I've been to a couple of them. He's supported other organizations out there. So if you can come out, Summers Point Cigar, it's down by like exit, 30 on the Parkway. It's a great spot. It starts at 4 p.m. He's going to have a live band, food. All they ask you to do is purchase some cigars at the place. Beautiful outdoor patio. Indoor is absolutely gorgeous. And we like to thank Steve Ortiz for doing that.
Come out for that camaraderie.
Yeah,
That's
come out
what
for
it's
that
about.
camaraderie. Come out, meet some people. Patriots will be there also. You can find out about the club if you're interested. Veteran first responder, come out, check it out. Like I said, we got 4 lodges throughout the state in different locations. May 21st, 6:30 p.m. in Mountainside. We're going to post a flyer there. Patriots Elisa is holding his fundraiser at the Spanish Tavern in Union. Yes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Spanish Tavern.
no,
Mountainside.
Correct.
Close.
Mountainside. Spanish Tavern in Mountainside. It's $100 for the ticket. You're going to get your choice of entree, appetizers, dessert, sangria, beer, wine, and more. Get a couple sticks. Come on out, support. All it is a dinner, guys. We want you to come out, hang out. It's limited to 50 tickets. We have a few tickets left. You want to get out to that, it's $100. We're going to post that flyer up in the Blue Room podcast on Facebook. You can just scan that QR code. It'll bring you right to Ticket Leap for the tickets.
Food and drink are worth that. Plus,
Oh, absolutely. Food there is
Yeah.
fantastic. If you've never been to the Spanish Tavern, it is absolutely worth it. Good people there. We're going to be smoking on the outdoor patio there. Should be a fantastic time.
Amazing food, lobster, all kinds of appetizers.
Oh,
The
yeah.
sangria is just off the charts. So for that price, you just can't beat it.
What
Nice
do we-
date night.
Nice day,
Outside, we'll be outside smoking and
Absolutely.
drinking and having a good time. Having some
So
good
again,
food.
patriotsoftheleaf.org. We got Unicorn Smokes and exilecigars.com. Both
Yes,
check
sir.
them out. If you can, again, go out to the Smoking Gnome out there in East Brunswick. Support Alex tonight if you're in the area. And unless you got something else, I want to thank everybody for the first show. We'll see you again the end of May. I believe it's May 24th. Another Saturday, probably be at noon. And we're going to get you another nice guest to get him in here. We're going to talk more cigars and have some nice chats and espresso for Mike.
Yeah, so
Outstanding.
May 3rd, Campy, Stacy would be very happy to know. Campy will be back at 12:30
Oh, very good.
with his next show. Stacy, please just lube yourself up and get ready to go. 3 o'clock, we have Uncensored with Mike the Cop, and then at 5:30 we have Politicast. And again, that's all on May 3rd. Stacy, again, in case you missed it, 12:30 is Campy.
See you then, Stacy.
Just get ready to go. And no, guys, excellent show. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
thank you.
Thank everybody. And
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
watching.
Alex.
to the
Thanks,
credits,
Campy,
thanks for
chipping
coming.
in and helping us out
Campy,
here.
Alex,
Thank you guys very much.
Can't wait to do this again. We'll see you soon. And
See you soon. Smoking
let's
cigar, right?
smoke 'em for Arroyo.